Right. We're
And
going live stream now, so
okay, and just for your Apple history, I owned a Lisa.
okay.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
I got to play with the Lisa. It was at this company that they had this thing, and they knew I was really into computers, and they're like, "Why didn't you just come check out the computer we're using?" And I come in, and it's a Lisa, and I'm like, "Oh, it was a very emotional experience."
No, if we want to get into that, my history, it's I co-owned a computer store back in college, and that's how I got mine. So I got it at wholesale. So I got it
There you
at dealer
go.
cost. So
Which still wasn't cheap.
yeah,
Right.
it's and I got the impact printer, the daisy wheel printer. So basically,
Nice.
I bought the computer and got the printer for free, if you want to look at it that way. So
Nice.
anyway,
All right, I'm just getting us out on social media. I tweeted it, I Facebooked it. I think we're all out there. If you want to go into the chat, you can. The web, it's up to you.
I should hop in the chat.
In the
YouTube chat.
I'll put the link in our Zoom chat here for easy access for you.
I'll try it. I generally have a problem because the headset that I use is tied to both my phone and the computer. And so it one cancels out the other through
Okay.
Bluetooth. So I'll see what I can do. I've been meaning to experiment with this anyway. So
No worries. All right, got the show notes, and we'll just follow our leads. You don't have to freak out. Let me put the link of the show notes in the chat too, just to make it easy for you. Hello, everybody. There we go. Got 2 links in the Zoom chat for you. Got that. And get my notes.
I think
Right.
if I disable Bluetooth, I can watch the show notes at the YouTube stream. So
Give me just a second. I should
Yeah.
have some cough drops for just in case.
Not a problem. You just want to follow the chat. You can go in on your computer and just follow along and just mute the audio. That's what I do.
no, I got it. Well,
Okay. Sometimes it gets some people. We had about 4 or 5 people in the chat last week. So
I was having a deep conversation today about NIST standards.
oh boy, yep.
Part A,
I've had to go through that many times. Okay. Hey, Ben's there. Hey, Ben. Ben's in the chat.
The new guy.
Yeah. Well, we've had him on.
Well, not
the
here,
show.
but yeah.
No, he's overdue. We're going to get you back on the show, Ben. All right. As soon as Jeff gets back, we'll get him all situated, and then we'll get started.
Right. And here's your free not being sick tip. These are the cough drops.
Breezers.
Hall's Breezers. They don't have the mentholyptus, whatever stuff in them. They give you all the benefits of cough drops without the downsides. So they're not hard on your throat, and they work great. I learned that from a professional musician.
Yep.
You're going to put the link to that in the notes for the cough drops.
Yeah, right.
The most important link of the night: Jeff's cough drops.
Jeff's cough
Yeah.
drops. I think I have a show title. All right. Ready to go. We're at episode 243. And here we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2, Welcome to episode 243 of In Touch with iOS, the show that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and I am so excited. I have a brand new guest on the show. Mr. Webb Bixby is joining us for the very first time. How are you doing, Webb? Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, David. It's enjoy being here. I think you and I have been talking to each other through another show, and I'm grateful that you invited me here. So let's hope I don't embarrass myself.
No, you won't. We always have a lot of fun here. Just it's all good. That's because Jeff Gamet is here because he makes it always a lot of fun. How you doing, Jeff?
Oh, great. No pressure.
No pressure at all.
I'm doing all right. And as always, it's great to be here. And Webb, I'm excited to get to do another show with you.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you.
You'll be fine. We're glad you're here. So yeah, we got some news this week. There's been a fair amount of news in the Apple world. We'll be getting through that. We're going to find out a little bit about Webb and his history with Apple and what he does with his iPhones and iPads and other such. Beta this week. We'll hit on that. A bunch of other topics like we always do, a few tips and apps, and that's what we're here for, is to talk about all things Apple. But let's go ahead and get started with the news this week. First story is the Apple Store app has been updated with improvements for saved items and enhanced store information. Apple this week updated the Apple Store app for iOS and iPadOS with several improvements, including changes to the saved items list. Apple says the update now lets you share lists of saved items with your friends and family, and make it easier to share gift ideas, collaboration on shopping lists. Use a share sheet icon of a saved list pages. Along with that, now saved items can be accessed for more places in the app, and also make it a little easier to find the app retail stores and all kinds of stuff. I'm always glad to see them doing some updates to this app and making it an easier shopping experience. What do you think, Jeff?
The purpose of this app is to make it easier for you to spend money with Apple. So, of course, that makes these welcome features, and honestly, features that I'm surprised haven't been there for a long time. And yeah, there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Webb, do you use that?
Yeah.
Have you made many purchases from the Apple Store?
Oh, I just about every time that Apple comes out with a new product, I end up going to the Apple Store and purchasing it. So yeah, what makes it nice now is that it's a lot easier for me to share my wish list with my family members. Mm-hmm. So instead of me buying it, they can buy it for me. My family will never buy me a new MacBook or a new iMac or anything like that.
You need a new family.
They don't.
That's right.
They just don't love me that much, or so. And yeah, there's a story there that I won't get into. So, but yeah, the real point here is that they gave the Apple Store a little bit of love, a little bit of enhancement, and
yep,
every little bit helps. Okay, so I think it's fine. If they could do something with the App Store, that'd be a lot better. But that's another topic for another time.
Yeah. Then the next story here: Apple releases Car Keys Tests app for licensed MFI developers. Apple's released a testing app for vehicle manufacturers who are working on integrating its digital car keys software. The Apple Digital Car Key feature, of course, if you don't know about this, is it always allows users to unlock and start a compatible vehicle by bringing your iPhone or Apple Watch near the driver's side door. The car keys are stored in the wallet app, and just like a credit card. The feature right now is only limited to BMW, Kia, and Genesis vehicles. This is called Car Keys Tests. The new app allows licensed MFI developers to test and validate their own integration. This is good news just to hear, because that means that there are other car manufacturers that want to expand upon this. I would love to have this on my car. I mean, honestly, I think it'd be so cool to have it and make it much easier to do it. I mean, right now, we're all used to our key fobs, and the stupid battery always is going out in my key fob, or not going out, but it just doesn't work. But you have a Tesla, I don't know, Webb, and you have, I don't know, but if you have,
and it fundamentally has the same thing with the Tesla app on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
So I can either use the key or I can use the phone. I think it's interesting. A couple of comments.
Mm-hmm.
Not a BMW fan. They're fine automobiles, just I'm more of a Mercedes guy. So,
Okay.
but
All right.
but Kia needed some positive press right now. Kia and Hyundai. If you've been following along, there's a deal where you could steal Kia specifically with using a USB cable to get into it. Fundamentally, it's what is it? It's the Kia boys on TikTok or something like that. But what they say that you can use a USB cable to do it. It's not the USB cable per se. It's you take the shroud and the ignition key part off the car with a screwdriver. You pry it off, and then there's a little deal that just that just fits the end of the USB-A cable that you can stick it in there and start the car. It's not the USB thing. So anyway, Kia needed some good news about their cars because they've been very, very easy to steal. In fact, I pulled off an article today that some auto insurers right now are refusing to insure a Hyundai or a Kia because they're both the same company.
We'll take all the thefts.
Because of this issue. Because of this issue. And one of the big cities, Jeff, is Denver. If you have a Kia that wasn't previously insured, you got a new Kia and you want to go get it insured, or a new to you Kia, good luck finding a major automobile insurer that's going to give you coverage for it.
Mhm.
Thoughts, Jeff?
Yeah, well, first off, the whole Denver Front Range metro area is an ongoing hotbed of car issues. So yeah, problems that you see tend to be bigger here, I guess. And that's so the whole stealing your Kia thing, catalytic converter thefts. I even had to put a special anti-theft plate on the bottom of my Prius so that my catalytic converter doesn't get stolen. Not the point. The real point is that with BMW doing this, I'm so glad there are other car manufacturers out there so it'll actually work. BMW electronics are notoriously poor and tend to fail a lot. So it's a good thing that you can buy a Kia to go along with your BMW so that when you can't get into the one, you can drive something more reliable, assuming it doesn't get stolen.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and now this being said, the other vehicle is the Genesis brand, just the luxury brand of Kia and Hyundai. I think the Genesis G90 is probably one of the nicest looking four-door sedans out there right now. So there's my plug. I wish I had one. I don't need another car, but if I did, I would consider it. So
yeah. So let's go ahead and move on. The next story here is Tile adds undetectable anti-theft mode to tracking devices with a $1 million fine if used for stalking. AirTag competitor Tile announced this week that a new anti-theft mode for the Tile tracking device is going to be designed to make Tile accessories undetectable by the anti-stalking scan and secure feature. Scan and secure is a security measure that Tile implemented to in order to allow iPhone and Android users to scan and detect nearby Tile devices from keeping them from being used for stalking purposes. We've talked a number of times about the AirTag with this, so it's definitely something that it's been quite a concern. And the scan and secure undermines the anti-theft capabilities of the Tile because stolen vehicles Tile can be located and removed. Something also possible with similar features added by the AirTags.
So don't put it in your Kia. So.
Yeah,
right.
So and it goes on here, but this is actually. I mean, Apple needs some competition. Tile has been kind of dormant, and I know we've talked about this a number of times, Jeff. So that Tile has really not done anything after the AirTag came out for quite a while. This is kind of a good thing to see that we get some competition now.
It's a good thing. And yet I will not offer Tile any praise for doing what they have done, because all they have done is waited years and years and years to provide a function that they should have included when they released their product what, 7 years before AirTag came out.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are. They're finally getting around to doing something. Yes, it's a good feature, but sorry, Tile, you get no praise from me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's a shame that it took this long. Good hope. I hope it's not too little, too late. But I'm sure Tile's been
It's
holding
not
its
too
own.
little, too late. Tile is the dominant tracker,
Yeah.
personal tracker device on the market, and they will continue to be that for a while, I'm sure, just because there's so many out there. And as far as competition goes, at this point, I don't see Tile as competition for Apple. I see Apple as competition for Tile. So they need to step up their game. Regardless, it's good news for us as consumers, because that means everyone will be working to make their personal tracker products better. Hopefully.
Absolutely. Any other thoughts on that, Webb?
I guess a couple. It's I didn't know if, that Tile was still dominant in this market space on these personal trackers. I'm not denying it. I just wasn't aware of it because, like you said, I really hadn't heard anything about Tile in really a couple of years, maybe. And we all know that the some of the arguments against the AirTags. Personally, I have a couple of them. I went to Europe last summer. It was nice that I could always keep track of where my luggage was, and my backpack. I have an AirTag in it too, so I like it. I'm not going to say it's better. I'm not going to say it's worse, but yeah, like the statement that you made that the Tile's still the predominant in this space was news to me. I hadn't heard anything about them in a couple of years, and I will admit that I bought the first generation, and when the batteries died, I didn't replace them. So.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Let's go on to the next story here. Apple Watch import ban is getting dangerously close. President Biden upholds the ITC's AliveCore ruling. Apple patent battle between health tech company AliveCore isn't going anywhere anytime soon. The two companies have been battling out for years, and the pendulum has swung back and forth multiple times. Most recently, December of 2022, U.S. International Trade Commission handled AliveCore a major victory, agreeing that Apple had infringed on its patent technology. So now the ITC's ruling has now been upheld by President Biden, following a 60-day review. So again, I don't like to get too political in this show, but will the Apple Watch face an import
Extinction?
ban?
Yeah.
I just don't see it. What do you think, Webb?
I guess a couple things. First thing I say, AliveCore. Who is AliveCore? And I did a little research, and they make that device that you've seen on TV called Cardia, where you take your two fingers or two thumbs and put them on these two pads, and then you can get an ECG reading on your phone. So, okay, that's who they are. They also have the Omron blood pressure cuffs is another one of their products as well. What I think, and Jeff, I'm really interested because you kind of see the whole board a lot better than I do on this type of stuff. Apple is not going to let the Apple Watch get banned. They got too much invested in it. The Apple Watch is way too popular. I got mine.
We all do.
Yeah. They'll figure something out. Now what that resolution is going to be, I don't know. It could be a license fee. Apple does have enough money to buy them, and AliveCore is a privately held company, so they don't have to go through all the stock market stuff that they would have to do to acquire them. They could. Right. I don't think that's what they want to do. I don't think that fits within their wheelhouse per se. But they're not going to let the Apple Watch go away. I've been wrong before.
No, I agree with you. I'm sure Jeff
You're
does
not
too.
wrong on this. All right, it's soapbox time. You sat back with that look on your face because you knew you were setting me up just to go off, didn't you? Okay, yes. First off, shame on 9to5Mac for writing a headline like that. It is completely irresponsible. And I'm saying that as someone that enjoys reading 9to5Mac, and they do have some great writers there. That said, This is a completely misleading headline. All right. So first off, President Biden upholding this ruling, that is not news. That's just what happens. It's news when a president vetoes one of these things, regardless of what the product is. And the one that that we will remember, well, humans have short memories when it comes to news, but the one that did happen, and it was a big thing, it was when President Obama vetoed the ruling that would have banned the import of iPhones. So what's happening here is totally normal, and this is not an indication that the Apple Watch is going to be banned from import and sale in the United States. Also, the patents in question have all been ruled as invalid, and that's been held up on appeal. And now there's another appeal that's coming, and they will probably be held, or that ruling will be upheld. And even if it's not, then Apple gets to appeal. This is something that is going to drag out for a long, long time, assuming that the appeal process gets to keep going. By the time something could happen, if the tables were to flip and Apple was seen as violating valid patent or infringing on valid patents, Apple's incredibly deep pockets will make the problem go away, but it's not going to get to that point. I would be stunned if that happened.
I can't imagine it. So, no, I agree with you on the 9 to 5 Mac. I was kind of concerning of that headline. So good info on that. I appreciate that. Let's go ahead and move on. You missed this week, but for those of you who were T-Mobile customers and went into the T-Mobile Tuesdays app, you can now get Apple's MLS Season Pass for free from T-Mobile. And how you were able to do it was you can go into the T-Mobile Tuesdays, and there was a link there, and you tap the MLS Season Pass on Us feature, save the stuff, copy the code, redeem it, and it was so easy. I did it. So, I mean, I'm not a big football or in the United States soccer fan, but hey, free is free, and you have a full season that would have costed $14 a month or something like that, and you could see what I'd be more interested to see how Apple does with this coverage and how the video. I watched a few games already just to kind of see it, and this is great. I appreciate it. And then again, I know Jeff, you're not a spectator sport fan, but I think the technology of this, this is a wave of the future for sports in general.
I don't have to be a spectator sport fan to appreciate the importance of deals like this.
Yeah,
these are the sort of things that add validity to the different networks or streaming platforms. So of course, Apple is going to make stuff like this happen. T-Mobile likes to be in on stuff like this because it adds value to their customers, and so good on T-Mobile for offering people a deal, and good on Apple for making Apple TV Plus a more valuable platform.
Yep, absolutely. Got some thoughts on that one?
Do you know if are there any restrictions? You can only view it on your T-Mobile device, or does it allow you to look at it on multiple? Okay. Now the second question is, I have a friend, I won't name who he is, who has a T-Mobile, who might have a T-Mobile device as well as an AT&T device. And he might have gone ahead and took advantage of the Apple One deal for the season for $80 instead of the 130, 120, I think it is, or something like that. So the question is, can my friend cancel the order, then go back on the T-Mobile and get it for free?
If
you know what the return policy is?
Yeah, it's hard to say. You could complain to Apple maybe and do it, but the thing is, if he didn't go into the T-Mobile Tuesdays app on Tuesday to claim the code, he's out of luck.
Oh, he had to do it on Tuesday?
I had to do it on Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
Yep. That's why you got to watch it every week. in the past, they've also offered. I'm still hoping they still do it. There hasn't been an announcement yet, but MLB at Bat has been offered for free for the last 3 or 4 years now for Major League Baseball. So I'm hoping they're going to offer it again this year. But so yeah, T-Mobile's been smart because T-Mobile's very heavily involved with Major League Baseball. They have the ballpark in Seattle named after with their name on it. So, but it only makes sense.
They also have the arena here in Kansas City,
Right.
where I saw Springsteen last Saturday night. It used to be the Sprint Center.
Well,
Now
that's
it's
why.
not. Yeah. Now the building's
What a
a
surprise.
glass building. I thought they'd call it the Windex Center, but that's just my idea.
There
My
you
marketing
go.
mind's always thinking.
opportunity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So anyway,
Um,
well, my friend was telling me about looking at the Tuesday app, and you're right, it's gone. He should have done it at the time. Oops. So
yeah, that's what you got. Yeah, just for any T-Mobile subscribers, always should have the T-Mobile Tuesday app and get the notifications every Tuesday to see if anything is there's any good deals. So
yeah, because I pulled the plug on this past weekend, so before Tuesday, and that's why I'd already made the purchase, or my friend had already made the purchase. So
okay,
It was your friend. You're just following their lead,
The
right?
Yeah,
lead, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I always try to personalize everything. So
Sure.
Yes. Next story, YouTube TV was working on fixing crashing issues on Apple TV as redesign rolls out more widely. YouTube TV had launched a UI redesign earlier this year for all platforms, but Apple TV users were left out due to some issues. Now Apple TV, YouTube TV appears to have been restarting to roll out while working on the fix for the ongoing crashing. What it's looking at is the focus on 2 areas of live TV streaming service, which is the library tab, and what shows are personalized recommendations for TV shows and movies, and yeah, just on and on, and it's just kind of a shame that that's happening, and now especially the fact that they YouTube had bought NFL Sunday Ticket for next season. You better hope that they get on the bandwagon. I mean, that service is obviously going to be separate from YouTube TV itself. But YouTube TV subscribers will get a discount if once they sign up for NFL Sunday Ticket. But what do you think, Jeff? I mean, I'm kind of surprised. Google, YouTube, this app should be like, working seamlessly.
It should, and yet here we are.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think the real news would be if the YouTube app was working properly without bugs on Apple TV. There's a track record here, and the YouTube app on Apple TV has never been a quality user experience. So yeah, of course they're having crash issues, and my guess is that when it comes sports season time, that there will be frustrated Apple TV users because the YouTube TV app is not working correctly for them.
Yep. Any thoughts on that, Webb?
yeah, first of all, I'm a YouTube TV subscriber.
Okay, there you go.
And I have I use it mainly at my office, so I think I mentioned this in other venues that to follow CNBC and Bloomberg TV's not on there, but CNBC and some of the news channels and things like that. It's real convenient that they're on my computer, and it's kind of, I have 2 monitors on the left-hand corner, and it kind of keeps me in tune. That being said, we're talking about the Apple TV app. I never had a problem. Okay. I because my home television service is AT&T Uverse, and AT&T Uverse and NFL had a falling out, and so they quit providing the NFL network on AT&T services. It was on DirecTV, but it was not on the IPTV service. Anyway, so all that being said, when I'm at home on the weekends and the Chiefs were on the road and I wanted to follow what was going on the NFL with either NFL Network or NFL Red Zone, which I'm a huge fan of,
Yeah, it's fun to watch that.
Yeah, because of that, I never had a problem. I never had a crash. Every once in a while, we all have things where we need to reboot every once in a while, but it was not regular. Okay, so there could be some things, Jeff, that you alluded to that I don't really pick on. I don't go in the library. I don't pre-record things. I know I could, I just don't. And maybe that's where the weakness is. I think it's just like everything else. First of all, YouTube or their parent company, they have to put some love to it. Now, keep in mind, they also have a whole nother platform that they want to use too. And that's probably where they're going to really pay their attention to it. But it's still a revenue source, and they have a strong relationship with Apple. So I think they'll fix it. I think they'll figure out what the bug is in the software, and they'll get it done. But Jeff, I will go with you that maybe the problem's a lot bigger than what I'm experiencing. So
Yeah.
I'm glad it's working great for you, and with Google and YouTube's track record, here's my concern. They'll fix this, but there'll be something else that ends up broken, and it will just be an ongoing thing. And hopefully the things that they break don't end up overlapping into the things that you do, so that you don't have to experience those annoyances.
Yep.
Yeah, the what is it, alphabet, they have a tendency to get tired of things, and then they kind of ignore them and eventually jettison them. I'm among other things, a Google Fiber subscriber, and I'm very, very happy with it. And it's
lucked out with that.
Yeah, but I'm also kind of in this fear that they're going to get tired of it. AT&T has introduced their fiber product here in Kansas City.
Okay, I have it here. I just got it about 3 months ago.
Yeah, and maybe that's right. I asked you about it, so so I'm keeping my options open. I'm very pleased. They haven't said they're going to be abandoning anything, but another thing that they did have their own Google Fiber. They had their own TV service, if you will, beyond the streaming service. They had their own, let's call it their own cable service, and they've abandoned that. So and are pushing people to YouTube TV or any of the other common streaming platforms too. So anyway, whenever you get in with Alphabet, you got to be prepared that they may get tired of it.
Yep. So. One last story here. Google Photos for iOS now supports the Magic Eraser tool for Google One subscribers. Google today, actually, as we record this today, it was announced several new features that are available to Google One subscribers that have the Google Photos app, including a Magic Eraser tool that was previously only available for the Google Pixel 6 and Google Pixel 7. Google One members now on all plans can now use the Magic Eraser tool to remove unwanted objects from people from their photos using that app on iPhone or iPad. There's also an HDR video effects feature and exclusive collage styles for it, and a number of other features, including these features. Google's also providing free shipping on all print orders if you print something from there. If anybody is not aware, Google One is an all-in-one cloud storage and VPN feature. And then they have similar plans to what iCloud has. That is cool. What do you think, Jeff? I think Google's getting smart. I mean, those Magic Eraser tools, I always get tired of looking at those apps that advertise it, and then they have that in-app purchase.
Yeah. I'm glad to see this happen. Because there are people that are using Google's tools and Google services, and now they have one less thing they have to go hunting for. And here's the thing. Google is a smart company, and just like Microsoft is a smart company, despite what a lot of Apple fans would like to think. And both companies get that if you want to be the real dominant player, it's not about keeping everyone in these types of ecosystems on your own hardware. It's about having everything you do available to everyone everywhere. And we see Microsoft doing that with a lot of their services. Google is doing that too. So giving us features like this increases the likelihood that people will stay in the Google ecosystem regardless of what hardware they're using.
Yeah, that's true. Do you have any thoughts on that, Webb?
It's I guess the thought that I have is kind of more of a holistic view, and the thing that frustrates me with Google, like I said, I'm a Google Fiber subscriber, so they already got a hook into me. Okay. And because of that, I also got a free Google Drive subscription. I think it's a 2 terabyte freebie as an add-on. Would I do Google One if I got a discount on it? But I think in that regard, Google is so fractured in all their offerings that they wouldn't do that. And that's really frustrating to me. And that's one of the things that I do like about the Apple One subscription, is that it does allow me to do some of these other add-ons. They haven't added anything new recently, but it is one of the things that I like. It's the television subscription that I could have gotten, my friend could have gotten for free for the MLS thing. That was a benefit, and they said, yeah, we'll give you a discount since you're already in our system. So I wish Google did more things like that too. As a Fiber One or a Google Fiber subscriber, I'm very happy with it. I would consider it.
Yeah, I think so. So it's definitely something to check out, and see if it's something that would fit for you. So that's the news for this week, and let's go and move on to topics. And I'd like to, like I said, I welcome you, Webb, to the show. We're so glad you were able to make it and be on the show for your very first time. And we wanted to find a little bit more about you and what you do with your Apple products. And I know you have a couple iPhones, you have a couple iPads. I think you're like us. You have pretty much everything, right?
Yeah, my experience with Apple goes back to when I was in college, and I bought an Apple II Plus, and I was in a finance course, and I bought this little program called VisiCalc. Well, I'm sure we all remember that. And I can tell you that I was the king of the hill in the business finance course by all the things that I could do on VisiCalc. And that was very, very early on. This is 1980, 81. I think is about that time frame. So that's when I started, and it because of my my affiliation with buying the computer, and the guy who owned the Apple computer franchise in Columbia, Missouri, where I went to school. He wanted to expand. He wanted to open another store in Jefferson City, which is the state capital of Missouri, and it's about 30 miles south of Columbia. Columbia is where the University of Missouri is. So he wanted to open another store. I decided to invest in it, and it was a fun experience. I can't say that I made a lot of money on it, but I didn't lose any money on it on that investment.
That's a
either.
win.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I bought a lease at cost. So, but
also a win.
And
so instead of 10,000, it was what, 9,000?
7.
That's close.
Yeah, it was about a 30% markup, which has kind of been the standard for Apple, but that's another story. Anyway, so I kind of got into the computer store at that size. And when I talked about the Lisa, when Apple first came out with the Lisa computer itself, not every Apple dealer had that franchise. They're very limited on who got those. So, and we got one because we were in a college town, that helped us a lot. Anyway, so we had the computer store, and everything was going just great, and had the Lisa franchise, and I think the computer store sold one to me.
To you.
Yeah.
That's great.
But
that was a big flop.
and then soon after that, then IBM came out with the IBM PC.
Right.
And we had the franchise for the IBM PC as well. And what had happened was IBM let anyone who wanted to be a PC dealer take the franchise. And then that got oversaturated, so they pulled it back. And then they were really limiting to who could get an IBM PC franchise back in the day. And here again, this is 1982, 83 as a time frame. And we had the IBM PC franchise, and there was a big computer retailer in St. Louis that wanted the IBM PC franchise, and we had one available, and that's how I broke even in the computer business. Anyway, so after my computer days and going to college, I graduated from college. I went and joined a life insurance company that I started in 1982. I've been there for 40 years. And I started out as a COBOL programmer. And
Nice.
and right now I am president and CEO. So it's a long, strange journey.
And probably the only person on staff that can go in and address the old COBOL code that's probably floating around in there somewhere.
That's
As a matter of fact,
our primary admin system is still on COBOL. We're in the midst of changing that out, and there's some logical reasons why we haven't changed it out. So, which I won't bore you with right now. But so yeah, I do have a COBOL background, and I was at the right place at the right time because we talked about this IBM PC, and they were coming into the insurance business and how they were being used for developing quotes and illustrations and all that. And we had a lot of very expensive IT people that knew how to use a personal computer, or we had this kid over here that's getting paid nothing, and he could do everything. So that's how I fell into it.
So you keep connected with your iPhones. I know you have one for work, one for business. That's
yep.
I know that's sometimes a bit of a challenge. I keep mine. I use my own personal iPhone for business. So, but keep it separate. And you're using an iPad. You use Apple TV. So it sounds like you have pretty much all the products. You've been an Apple guy, true and true. That's what makes it so great that you're part of our family here with us and with Mac Voices, and just because you're just very passionate about Apple like we all are.
So yeah, I got the two iPhones. I got an iPad Pro that I use mainly when I go to meetings because of the battery life. Now the new M-powered computers, which is what I'm using right here, the battery life on these things is incredible. But
it is.
But for when I go to a meeting and I'm taking notes, I use the iPad for that. Let's see, I have. In my office, I just have a Mac Studio that I just installed here in the last year. I have a second home. I have a Mac Studio there, and I got a Mac Studio right over there that belongs to my wife. So we're Mac crazy. We're Apple crazy. Steve Jobs, I've helped fund his children's college education. So.
And you did just recently buy the HomePod second gen. I know you were talking.
I did.
Did you open it?
I did open it, and I set it up, and it's sitting in my office, and I'm driving myself crazy because I say, "Hey Siri," and I got 3 responses.
Don't say that.
Yeah. Okay. Hey lady.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, you're right, because it just woke up my phone. So, but hey, lady, and between the HomePod and my computer, and I know that there's a way that I can manage that. And I do it through the Home app, and I cannot figure out how to do it. So,
don't feel
tech support.
It's a problem, and it's on Apple's shoulders, not yours.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the show. We're really glad you made it out here, and thanks for sharing your experiences with Apple products, and we appreciate it. Let's go ahead and move on. As we always do on the show, we talk about beta this week. iOS and iPadOS 16.4 beta 1 is still in testing, and one of the things that did come out of that, I highlighted it again here, is you now are able to enable iOS betas from the settings app on 16.4 or later. It's a notable change. We talked about it a little bit last week, and we got the developer beta and the public betas that are out there, because you had to always download the profile, install the profile onto your device, and then reboot, and then it would sense that you had it. But now you have control, and the developer betas can be right into the settings app. And this article from 9 to 5 Mac actually goes through and talks about that. If you are a developer, it's going to be faster, easier to install either one of the betas, and easy as well. But the one big thing is I think Apple's trying to prevent is these illegal downloads of the beta software if you're not a developer, or if it's not the public beta, because sometimes you get some people who are doing some not so desirable things that this is going to kind of crack down on that, as well as keep it more efficient when they install this on their devices. Again, we always promote don't install betas on your production device. So Webb and I both being in the insurance industry in the business, not to do that on your devices, right?
I never touch a beta. Okay.
You don't even dabble in it. I dabble in it because I have spare devices that I do it on, but and so does Jeff. So
yep, I have a sacrificial iPad just for betas.
Yeah. So you see anything on the iPad for you with 16.4 yet?
I have noticed that the S Lady is more reliable on my iPad with 16.4 than it has been previously.
Okay.
I don't know if that's really a 16.4 thing or if that's a back end update on Apple's part. Other than that, it's stable and working, and has some new emojis.
Yes, got all those fun emojis. One thing this one was kind of a interesting rumor. This came from Mark Gurman from Bloomberg, so I thought it was interesting to mention that Apple is now testing iOS 16.5 internally as one of the final updates before iOS 17 comes. I'm sure, as we know, always when WWDC happens in June. Of course, it's unclear of what is in that as of yet, because they keep that pretty on the down low and hush hush. But we're still waiting for the Apple Card savings account. We're still waiting for the Apple the Music Classical app, the iMessage contact key verification, security option, Apple Pay Later was supposed to be coming. So the rate they're going here with this stuff too is it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. I'm not going to talk too much in this article. You could check that out about iOS 17. There's a lot of speculation at the moment, but sounds like Apple's going to go right to 16.5, and then we'll be sitting on that with incremental updates, I'm sure, until 17 is released in the fall, like it always is. So, do you have any comments on that, Jeff?
No,
I predict 16.6.
Yeah, they would probably go 16.5.1 or .2, I would think, after this, if they're saying it's going to be one of the final updates. Usually,
I'm betting Apple will find a few things that they really, really need to address, and we'll get up to like 16.5.4.
I can see that happening.
Yeah, and then as far as the whole 16.5 testing, bring it on. I'm ready.
Yes.
I've got a device ready to crash and burn.
Absolutely. So that's beta for this week. One of the other stories I want to talk about this week, as we record this today, Apple had a pretty substantial outage this week, and it was more of a topic and a tip here. And it looks like a number of services had gone out, and I have a link to the support status page for Apple, and everything's green now as you go to it as we're recording this, but it does note what it resolved and whatever things that were going on as far as outages go. So there was quite a few things that were out. Apple TV Plus had an outage where it was slow or unavailable. So it's good to see that Apple does let everybody know when there is some things that are going on. But a lot of it was just service oriented items that weren't working, like iCloud Mail, Calendar, Contacts. So it was pretty substantial. If you go to the web page as we record this, and it's probably going to be changing once by the time you hear this, but there was some pretty serious outages.
When was the outage?
Today, as we record.
Okay, because this morning I had trouble getting to my Apple Mail.
Mail was one of it,
and so I just put it down, went to work, and everything worked just fine. So it wasn't a long duration for me. So, but I experienced it, didn't know there was an outage. So, but
That's
Yep.
funny. I had Apple Mail iCloud account issues. I had trouble getting at files that I have stored on iCloud. And the funny thing is, it never occurred to me to look and see if there were outages. I'm just so used to the problems transiently happening that I didn't even think about it.
Yep, absolutely.
yeah,
That's
That's
probably
what I think.
bad
but
that I've
you
been
had something else that
trained
you could
to-
do. So, right.
Yeah, no, but
Yeah.
this is good. This is good. This is a good shortcut to bookmark. I think highly
Mhm.
recommend that.
I
because you
agree.
could go right to the system status. That's the first thing you go to look at if something's not working right. But it's not very often it happens. But good to do it. So, a couple other topics here I wanted to hit on. This was interesting that this was written up this week or last week. I think it was. Google allegedly paid Apple a portion of Chrome search revenue as part of its secret non-compete deal, and Google allegedly had paid Apple a portion of all search revenue from Chrome for iOS, which had just appeared to be a non-compete deal. According to a source that was familiar with this matter, Google's been paying that portion in return for being the default search provider in Safari and other commercial benefits. But I had thought Google was paying Apple, like it says in here, $15 billion annually for it's the default search engine too. So I don't want to know your guys' thoughts on this, Jeff. You would have some good thoughts on this, on why why Google would be doing this in the Chrome search side, or are they nervous that maybe Apple's? I know there's been rumors they're thinking about doing their own search.
Google is a smart company, and I know I said this earlier. And if they can keep Apple out of the search space, they will. That said, do they really need to keep Apple out of the search space? Here's my take. I think that what's been happening is that Google has been paying all this money that we know about to Apple to be the default search engine. And where some of that money is coming from may be from this thing that we're hearing about now. As far as, is this to keep Apple from making their own search engine? I honestly, I think if Apple were to develop their own robust search engine, it would not be a thing to compete directly with Google.
Yeah.
It would be a thing that Apple uses with their own services,
Right.
and gives searching across your Apple services and Apple products a much better experience, and gives you much more control over what you're looking for and how you're looking for it. Part of that means much better search through movies, books, and music, and much more robust and usable discoverability searches for the App Store.
Yeah.
And I think if Apple really seriously gets into that space, it'll be for their own products and not as a general search engine.
And Ben agrees with us on this, and Google in the chat room here that the youtube.com/intouchwithios. He said Google does not want Apple in search, so they're going to do anything they can to try to prevent that, I'm thinking.
I agree. Okay, now here's an interesting thing for you. How much work has Google done to incentivize Microsoft to not be in search? That tells you how much of a threat Bing
It's
is.
working.
Yeah.
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 So it's there's a phrase when I'm talking to my managers, and it kind of applies here. Stick to your knitting. I just don't know if it would truly benefit Apple to try to get into a space where Google's really dominant. Okay, they're the 800-pound gorilla in the space, and I think that Apple could, and by the way, remember they're making allegedly $1 billion from Google. So why would they want to disrupt that revenue source as well? So
That's
I,
enough money that even Apple pays attention.
Absolutely. I was just going through the 10K. I couldn't find any reference to Google in it. So anyway, yeah, I don't see it. And Jeff, I agree with you. And I've kind of touched on it earlier tonight about the App Store. I think is yeah. I'm frustrated with the App Store only because I want to find something and I got too many options. And not that I don't have enough, but and I have no way to sort through them. There's no free look period. I can understand why they don't do that. I can understand Apple's position on it, but it still gets kind of frustrating. So I go out and take a peek at it, and if I want to see if something that a problem that I have that I'm trying to resolve, and I got to go into the in-app purchase, and then I don't like it, then I got to try to unwind all that, and that's a problem as well. So I understand where Apple's coming from, but yeah, I would love to see a better search facility, and maybe it can solve my woes here. So
yeah, so it's good. Always interesting to see, and I'm not surprised you don't see it in the 10K because this is probably a behind closed door type of deal, and Apple doesn't like to really advertise it much. So
yeah, but sometimes you got to disclose those things. Your outside relationships.
In this case, they might be able to. Again, you have much more of the knowledge on the business part of the side of this thing, but
and it's $1 billion. That's significant even for Apple. So,
I think the big takeaway here is I need to set up a prop notebook. So it looks like I've prepared for the show, just like Webb has. And I know that Webb's book is not a prop. He actually prepared.
He did prepare. I'm not going to have another show title today. Yes. So definitely check that out. I think it's interesting. A couple more here. This story actually came out a couple weeks ago, but I wanted to hit on it a little more. Is Apple services? And we talked about it when the first quarter results came out from Apple, that the Apple services business is generating more revenue than Intel, American Airlines, and massive U.S. companies. And we know what the bundles are. You got iCloud, Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, Arcade, Fitness, and all the other ones. And it hit that record high of over $20.77 billion in revenue. That's billion, and that just is interesting. And the article here shows just kind of the comparisons of some of the other big, very large companies when it comes to total revenues. But this is something interesting like this, and I just think I see services just keeping and going and continually be the future of Apple. When they've been talking about the AI glasses and all the other things that's going to be coming, but the services thing is going great. That Apple One bundle, I'm very happy that I'm paying that per month, because it's not that expensive. You come down to it, and we're getting all kinds of great new services. And Webb, with you being in the business side of this, I'm assuming you've had looked at this a few weeks ago. But what do you think of this? I think this is something Apple really is going to be heavily involved in for years to come.
Yeah, it's interesting if you try to follow Apple from the very beginning. First they just had the Apple II, right, and even the Apple One, and then it kind of evolved to the Apple II, and that was the device that really got them into schools. Okay, was the Apple II. And they were a computer company. Okay, and then they had the Apple III, which was kind of disappointing, and the Lisa, we've talked about that. And then they came out with this little thing called the Macintosh, and that kind of got interesting. It was expensive, but it was interesting. But my point here is that they followed this computer line. And then somewhere along the lines, they decided that they wanted to get out of being a computer company and get into being more of a consumer, not appliance, what's the word I'm looking for, but kind of a consumer driven company. And that's where they came out with the iPod. And that was that the musical device, and that kind of evolved and got them into that consumer space a lot more, and got them out of the computer space. And at some point, remember, they changed their name from Apple Computer to Apple Inc. So here again, I think when we get to the services thing, I think it's evolved. I think, I kind of go back to remember when the first iPhone came out, the Steve Jobs didn't want to have an app store and didn't want to have the apps. I think that was more planned than anything else, my honest opinion. But just think if he was right and we didn't have the apps, then the app store, and where would the iPhone be? I think the ability to create apps on the iPhone is what really turned it on. So I thought that was interesting. And that just evolved into all the other things. There was what was the other thing that they had? Was it iWeb? What was the platform that they had where you could build your own website?
Yeah, iWeb. Yep.
Yeah, and so they had that, so they kind of got their toe in the water, and then it just, as time went on, it expanded, and now we're at this point where the
Took a while,
services, I think they had a plan for it. So one of the things, and their data centers that Apple has put all over the planet is one of the things that they realized that if they were to invest in services, they had to have the platform to do it. And Google does it too, and Meta does it too, and all that. Yeah, they all have data centers all over the place on the Azure side, of course. So I think they had a plan. I don't think it was by accident, but I think it's turned out to be very effective for them.
Yeah. Thoughts, Jeff?
I'm basking in the incredible wisdom that
I have too, actually.
we just got to bathe in. No, Webb, you nailed it, and I agree. This is not an accident.
I mean this in all seriousness. That means a lot to me coming from you, because I find how your commentary has been very informative. So thank you. That's a compliment from you to me. So.
Yeah. Oh, and I absolutely meant it as a compliment. I mean, you nailed it. And you're right. Apple did not stumble into this. Apple doesn't stumble into things.
Mm-mm.
They will sometimes pivot very quickly when they realize that there's a better way to do something they've already started. Apple Watch is a perfect example. That was a fashion product when they launched it. And they very quickly realized, no, it wasn't. It's a fitness and a health product. And it took them basically less than a year to go from here's your new fashion thing to here's the fitness and health tracker you can't live without. And something as big as services, that takes longer to make that come together. Excuse me. But it's obvious that this is something Apple has been working on for a very long time. And if anyone were to tell you, no, that's not true, this is something that happened recently, all you need to do is say ITWIOS.
No. Yeah. That's the name I was trying to remember, but you're right.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, we appreciate your wisdom, because I knew this was going to be a good discussion.
I got another story about a friend, if you want to hear it. It just takes a couple of minutes.
I love hearing about your friend's Webb.
Yeah, your friend. Yeah.
So I have a friend who works in a company that does some investments, okay, as part of their global platform. And they purchased some rural land outside of Des Moines, Iowa. Okay. And they subsectioned it off and all this other kind of stuff. And there's this one piece of land that was just, they couldn't do anything with. They couldn't do anything with it. And all of a sudden, and the reason why we couldn't do anything with it was that it had a little creek running through it and it had a big pond. Okay. Well, all of a sudden we had this friend had a secret buyer come through, and they wanted to buy this land and they wanted the water, and it was for a data center. Okay. And what do data centers need? They need a way to cool these things off. And what do they use to cool them off with? Water. Some use some other things too, but the main thing is water. It's plentiful. It's just being used to cool. You don't pollute it. Blah 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 blah. It turned out that it was our friend. It was Alphabet that wanted to buy this land. So my friend was involved in developing a data center and outside of Des Moines, Iowa for Google, which I thought was kind of fun. So
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good. But yeah, thanks for your insights on this topic. I thought it would be very good to find out a little more about this. A couple more things here. I got one thing I wanted to mention here about trade-ins with iPhones. iPhones were the top devices turned in through trade-in and upgrade programs in 2022. Assurant, which is a global business services company that supports and protects and connects major consumer purchases, revealed that $3.8 billion was returned to U.S. consumers through mobile device trade-in programs in 2022. The article goes on to talk about this was a nearly 25% higher than amount returned than 2021. So you got some pretty incredible numbers, and they talked about some of the models that were the top devices in 2022, and iPhone 11 made up almost 38% of the top 5 devices turned in. It was followed closely by the 10R, the 11 Pro Max, the iPhone 8, and the iPhone 12. And the Samsung Galaxy S9 was the top traded Android device in 2022. What are they at now? The S23, I think. that's
S23.
Yeah, that's going back a ways. So I can imagine they don't get very much money for it at this point. And then they said the average age of devices traded in during 2022 was 3.39 years. It's got some highlights of the fourth quarter and talking about some other things here. I just want, Jeff, what do you think of this? I think this is some interesting data, as well as we've always known that the iPhone trade-ins, not only are they popular in being traded in, that they're the best moneymaker. I mean, you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck on an iPhone. I mean, like I said, the S9, I can't imagine that thing being worth more than 40 or 50 bucks, honestly.
I'd be surprised if it's worth that much.
Much, yes. Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to bag on Samsung, but the point is, Android devices don't hold value like the iPhone does. So of course you're going to see more iPhones being cycled through like this. Also, there's a large number of people that buy iPhones that always want the new one. And while those of us in the bubble, excuse me, will say you don't need to buy the new iPhone because there's nothing that's compelling in the new iPhone. Okay, for people, just the general public that loves their iPhone and they want the new thing, it doesn't matter if the people in the echo chamber don't like it, excuse me, or don't think that it has enough value to upgrade.
Yeah,
people want the new thing. So yes, of course, iPhones are going to be the most traded in device, and they're going to bring more value.
I like the numbers, and I know, Webb, you're like me. You're either on the trading program or you're getting the new models every year to stay on top of technology, right?
Yeah, and a fool and his money are soon parted. But yeah, I do like it, and you know, could I go every other year? Sure, I could. I like the iPhone upgrade program. I just like how it allows me to do get the latest and the greatest. And then if you remember, I've talked about I like to use a wallet type cover, but the problem is that I gotta wait for the next wallet case to come that fits it. So and that's always the frustrating part. But anyway, so yeah, I like it, and I'm glad that people trade them in. I think that if I had to, I could go 2 years with an iPhone and be just fine. I just, I'm the early adopter. That's the marketing terms. It's the latest and the greatest. So yeah.
You know, there's nothing wrong with that. They're good devices. regardless of whether or not a pundit tells you this is the year to upgrade. They work well. And if it makes you happy to have the new device, then have the new device.
Yeah.
And don't let anyone bag on you for liking to have the latest and greatest.
Now that being said, I have not upgraded my iPad. My iPad is, the M series iPads. I don't have one of
I didn't
those. I
either.
still have. Yeah, I certainly could. When I do need a new iPad, I will. I also have the Apple keyboard with the touchpad, and I'm just happy with it. Now, if it was in an upgrade program too, maybe I'd have a different opinion. So, that is one of the questions that I asked. I subscribed to Gurman's newsletter, and I even sent an email to him. He never responded, but I've all the things that he talks about. How successful is the iPhone upgrade program for Apple? They haven't gotten rid of it, so it has to be doing something for them. But I just don't know how successful it is, and I've always been curious about that. And it's not in the 10K.
It's not yeah. Good point. It's successful enough for Apple to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many people that want the new phone. Excuse me. And there are people like me that would get a new phone every year, all the way up until their carrier burned them. And that's what I was doing with AT&T. And then one year, it might have been with the iPhone 11, they suddenly wanted a $500 upgrade fee because they had been doing me a favor by letting me upgrade every year. And now they wanted me to pay back that favor. And I was like, you know what, screw that. And I stopped buying new iPhones every year. I could have switched over to Apple's program, but I didn't. But where was I going with that? There was somewhere I was going. I can't believe it. I totally lost where I was really going with that. I blame the cold that I'm recovering from.
Yeah. All right. So a couple quick tips here before we wrap things up here. I want to talk about messages. People kind of forget when you go in. I think many of us live in messages, so I think it's something we should all know about. When you go into the Messages app, and if you go and delete a message, and a lot of us, I'm guilty of it. I'm sure many of us are. You start scrolling through your whole long list of text messages you've gone back and forth with for the last few months, maybe up to a year or 2 years. You want to delete them, but then there might be a situation where you want to actually go in and recover that. What Apple's done is when you go into Messages, at the top left, you're going to see a button that says Filters. And then at the very bottom there, you're going to see Recently Deleted. You can go scroll through any of these items that are in the deleted list, check it off, and then you're going to tap Recover. And then now you're actually going to recover this as long as it's within 30 days, because it does purge automatically after 30 days. You have that option to be able to recover these messages, because there might be a situation where you want to get back. Oh, wait, wasn't that sent to me in that text, and be able to do that. So Apple does a very good job of doing that. So, and then the second tip here is always been a challenge how to find your serial number on your Apple device, even the Apple Pencil if you lose it. And the way you could do that is by when you try to find a serial number for your iPhone and iPad, you go from the Settings app. You can look inside Finder or iTunes. You can use recovery mode to find the serial number. Of course, you can go into the back of the device. You can find it. There are a number of ways that you may need it and not be able to look it up if it's not working, especially if you happen to lose it. But of course, when you go into the device when it is working, you want to go into the General and then go into About. That's the first place you're going to be able to see where your serial number is here. You also can, like, if you back up, you can get it if you plug it into your Mac and open up the Finder app, because now of course they've moved everything as far as managing the iPhone on your Mac into Finder. Serial number would be listed there. You could go into recovery mode on the Mac, and it would list that there as well. on the older phones, they did have it on the back of a device or the SIM tray, but they don't do that anymore. So I don't really want to talk too much about that. But and you also can go into your backups. You can go into on your Apple ID and show up your backup devices. The device info will be in there as well, and then gives you the the serial number, the IMEI number, and the phone number and everything. It's in there as well. So a couple different ways that you're able to find your serial number. And again, it might be something that you need to get quickly and be able to look it up if it's not registered for some reason. So it gives you the option to do that. So a couple quick tips there I thought I'd share with everybody. So they always come in handy. And with that, let's go ahead and wrap things up for this week. This was what a great show. I really appreciate you both being here and some great conversation this week. So that's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, which is feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios. Support the show by buying me a coffee at intouchwithios.com/coffee. We would really appreciate it. You can also become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/intouchwithios. We have 2 tiers available to support the show. We would really appreciate it. You make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you're notified when we are live streaming, which is on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific on our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/intouchwithios, where you can watch us live as well as watch the live recording of the show and the past audio shows. Visit In Touch with iOS magazine on Flipboard, where many of our topics we discuss are flipped into that magazine. The link is in our show notes. You can subscribe to the show in your favorite podcatcher, including Pocket Casts, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, and many others. But better yet, go to our website at intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg. You can find me on mastodon.cloud at DaveG65 at mastodon.cloud, or on Twitter at DaveG65. And Webb Bixby, thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and I think you did. We had what great conversations. And where can people find you?
The best way to find me is Webb Bixby at twit.social through Mastodon.
Great. And we're glad you were here. And Jeff Gamet, thanks for being here. Struggling through that cough, but we appreciate you being here this week. And where can people find you?
Yeah. Well, first, it's always great to be here. Second, I'm so glad I have a mute button because I've needed it a lot tonight, and I've been through 2 or 3 cough drops already. All right. So where can people find me when I'm not muting myself and coughing? I'm Jay Gammon on the socials. So the 2 I'm most active on right now are Mastodon and Instagram. Excuse me. Then for podcasts, most Tuesdays on Mac Voices Live, which is Chuck Joyner's show, and then Thursdays on The Big Show. Wow, excuse me, Thursday evenings here with you, Dave. And then on Fridays on the Mac show, and then also on the Context Machine, because Brian Chaffin and I have teamed up again, and then occasionally other shows too.
Thanks again for being here. And again, a shout out to everybody in the chat room this week. I see Cletus made it into the chat. Thank you, Ben. Thanks for all your great comments this week. And anybody else that was in our chat on youtube.com/intouchwithios. And with that, thanks again for listening. We really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll talk again soon. All right. See, Webb, how hard was that? You did great.
Didn't hurt at all. Well, I don't do that for Chuck's show. I just happened to, if we wanted to get into the 10K or the proxy, that I just printed it off just to have something. I didn't want to come without anything. So
you were well prepared.
But I can BS with the best of them, I guess. So
I don't think
well,
it was at all.
Webb, if I had a book, I would print out some pages that just have like random charts and text, and then I could just flip it open and go through, and people see just enough of a page to see there's something on it, and it looks important. And then I'm speaking with authority. So clearly, I've got a book. I'm speaking with authority. I must be right. I
Come on,
really
you're-
like this idea.
Yeah, you're like John Stewart. He's got that paper, and
There you
you're
go.
always seeing him scribbling like that on his pages.
If we turn to
Writing
page
something
45 in
important.
the hymnal,
So, but no, thanks. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and it was a good show.
well, thank you. Thank you. Big plans for the weekend?
Nope.
I'm
Me
gonna be
neither.
helping a friend set up a new computer.
Well,
Oh,
there you
nice.
go.
Hopefully, it's a Mac.
Oh, it's absolutely a Mac. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, dude, when you go through that, do you use Migration Assistant or?
Yes, but
Okay.
but I don't just use it. I control how I use it. So
Okay.
what I do is migrate data and settings and then install the apps that I want.
Oh, okay.
And that's worked really well for me. When I went from my Intel to my M2, I felt like that was more than just my normal routine. It was essential because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't installing apps that I wasn't using anymore, but also I wanted to make sure the apps I was installing were apps that were Apple Silicon native
Yeah.
whenever possible.
Yep.
Yeah, the problem that I have is as long as I've been a Mac user, I just got this application creep of all the things that I've acquired over the years, and of course, when we went from 32-bit to 64-bit, they do some house cleaning there,
Mhm.
and now I
Yeah.
got to go through the same thing with the M series processors and the apps for that. So,
Right.
but I don't. I'm just not as disciplined as you are, Jeff. I just went ahead and just Migration Assistant, let her rip. So.
You know, there's a lot of people that say never use Migration Assistant. My feeling is if it works for you, use it and it's fine.
Yeah.
I use them. I use it most of the time when I'm migrating.
Yeah, and so Webb, here's how I actually do that process. Since all of my critical documents are stored on cloud services anyhow, like Dropbox. So that would be like all client content.
Yeah.
What I can do is take a time machine backup, plug it into the new computer, and let that migrate data and settings over while I'm working on the old computer, so I'm not having downtime. When Migration Assistant is done, then I install the apps that I need, and anything that I have done that wasn't on the time machine backup, that's going to get resolved anyhow because it's going through like Dropbox.
Yeah, I did something similar to that when I went from a Mac, the cheese grater Mac Pro, the original one, and I moved from that to the trash can Mac Pro, and I used a full carbon copy cloner image, if you will, and migrated through that as opposed to from the computer to the computer, and it was fine. I'm going through USB, so it's speed, so it's a little bit slower, but you know what? That's relative. I set it up, and I let it rip, and I go do something else for the rest of the afternoon. Come back, it's done. So
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
right.
I'm with you. And yeah, like for me, when I did the migration to my new computer, I started later in the day, and I just let it do its thing. I finished up the stuff I was working on, and then didn't bother to go and check the new computer again until the morning. And it was asleep. It had done its whole thing. Excuse me. It had been done for a long time. It's just waiting for me.
yeah.
I'm going to say goodbye to everybody on the live stream. Thanks, everybody.
Hey,
Hope you
bye,
enjoyed
live
it.
stream.
Bye, live
Everybody.
stream.